this is what we wanted to achieve in this living room. A very nice timber panelled chimney breast with the fireplace and a little wood burning stove. The video doesn't go into much detail on the timber panelling, but right at the end there's some details that need to be considered if you're planning a job like this. A bit of a different stove and flue installation, this one, because there is no existing fireplace. We have got a chimney, but it only starts from the first floor. We can line the top part with a flexible flue liner, but the rest of it from there on down is going to have to be done with twin wall. I spent quite a bit of time drawing up plans to make sure I'd got all the right components and the right lengths, and I've got a few angles. Check this out with the very helpful author of the Stove Fitter's Manual, who advised and checked over my plans and said, yep, looks like I've got everything covered there. All the stuff ordered arrived within a couple of days. Got a stove that is smoke control approved and can go on a 12mm hearth. I've got these insulated twin wall sections and angles and brackets and flexible flue liner. Contrary to how most people do it, we're actually taking the liner up from the bottom and we're just attaching a cone. Unfortunately it's a cone for a 6-inch liner, but it just helps deflect and protect the ends that might get snagged on anything. One of the major advantages of doing it from the bottom, as long as you've got enough room to play with, is you don't have to wrestle with a huge coil whilst you're around the chimney working at height. This way I can straighten it as it goes up, so it's not going to be snagging and it'll have a nice smooth run up the whole of that chimney. And we have relatively easy access to the top of this chimney because there's a Velux. I do not want to drop this on anyone's head. Just taking the support out. That's it. Flue liner's in and hung from the top. Bottom of the liner we've got to cut off at the right height, so I've marked that off. Best way to do it, tin snips, but we've got to get in there to start with. Below the actual line, open it out and being very careful with fingers because this stuff is sharp. Now I can just tidy up that cut. Just a quick word about the quality of this liner. It's really good stuff, much better than stuff I've used in the past. It's called Silver Core and apparently you can install it either way up, but I did check to see where the lips in the coiling are, and I did have them pointing down. On the bottom of the liner we've got an adapter. Takes it from the flexi to the twin wall system. Has to be the right sort. Some different manufacturers of these you have to drill and put in self-tapping screws to hold it on. But this one, it's got little tabs in it that mate with the flexible liner. So once we've got it on, just going to press those in a little bit more. So that's all the way in, and those tabs are working like a bit of a screw thread as well, and that is a really good fit, reassuringly good. Once I've got the twin wall fitted onto it and stable, I'll just pack a bit of fire cement down there just to be extra cautious. Although it is such a good fit, I don't really think I'm going to get much down there. The twin wall's all just a push fit and then clipped. This could be awkward, getting a grip on all this. And the clip engages in a slot in both the top piece and the bottom piece, so when this clamp's done up, it holds it all together very tightly. This is going through an old masonry hearth, so there's no particular distances required to the flexible liner, but if it was going through a wooden floor, that would have to be 15 inch because it's 5-inch flue. Pretty much vertical, because I don't want it throwing out what I'll be doing downstairs. And then I'm going to put a big Jubilee clip on it, some mesh, and then I'm going to just flaunch it into that masonry hearth. So that'll hold the twin wall in place and support the bottom of the flexible liner. The room the stove's going in is very Victorian, so a freestanding stove just wouldn't be looking right at all. So I'm recreating the look of a traditional fireplace, even though the stove is essentially being treated as a freestanding one. It's going to have a fake builder's opening made out of block, and then we're going to clad and make a chimney breast that'll just hide the twin wall stovepipe. Now I'm just going to put the top on it, and for that I'm using cement tile backer board. Normally use hardy backer board. This is a different manufacturer, but it has got the same A1 fire rating, so it's safe to have close to the stove. Marked out the hole for where the flue pipes go in, and then to cut this time I'm stitch drilling it. Oh, you can see that makes a fairly neat hole. But I must say this board is nowhere as near as good as that hardy backer stuff. I'm going to reinforce this front edge of the tile backer board with a bit of angle iron. That's going to be held on with some flexible adhesive that's reasonably temperature resistant, and a few bolts as well. We've got the flue up there and the adapter that'll go to the vitreous pipe there. So now we've got to join them together using the twin wall system. I'll put the clip on but not tighten it up because it'll need twisting to get at the right angle. Second piece, I've just put some wood in here just to support it because there's a bit of weight there and we don't want it all just hanging on the joint. Second angle piece. And then moment of truth to see whether I've got the manufacturer's dimensions right, and then the trigonometry to get the angle coming out from the wall, and then the distance from the flue up there to the distance of the flue down there. Yes, it fits perfectly. The last section is a telescopic adjustable section that I've offered up, got to the right height, and I've now got to cut the bits of insulation to the right length and fit those in. I marked the length where it wants to be, offered 2 bits up, there's the insulation, and then I can see where it needs to cut. They then go together and can be pushed all the way down. With the clips slackened off, should have enough movement to be able to wrestle the bits together. Well, when I say wrestle, that was easy enough. And up. There we go. Now I can fit the clips back on. Just checking round to see if the gap around the clips to these grooves is the same all the way around, so that tells us that the clip's in the right place and everything's engaged and straight. And I can tighten these up with an Allen key. To prepare the stove, I've taken all the bits out the inside. The door comes off, all the metal bits and all the bits of insulation. I'm using the top outlet, so I've got a blank off back outlet. Plate comes with it. That goes on the back. And just washers and nuts. I'm going from the inside of the collar up to the board, keeping that narrowed end. That's the bit that's going to go on the spigot on the fire. So I need to mark that off just using a bit of tape, a couple of places, and then all the way round, so we've got a reasonably straight cut. Metal cutting disc. And just file off them rough edges. That looks good. Now if I line this up, it'll be right. It is a bit of a loose fit, the adapter to the vitreous, so that's going to have to be packed as best I can with fire cement. Just for extra security, I'm going to fix the vitreous onto the adapter with a self-tapping screw. Got my fire cement. I'm just going to wet it up a bit so it's easier to fit in this tight space. I can put some inside here and some round the adapter. Not so much for stopping fumes coming out because there's vacuum in the flue, but it's to stop extra air going in. And fit it up, making sure the seam and the vitreous is at the back. Because it is a short stretch of vitreous, I can just reach up and smooth off a bit of wood underneath it, just hold it up while I get it drilled. Got to prep the collar like I did for the blanking plate with this self-adhesive fire rope. Right, I'm going to tape the collar onto the bottom of the vitreous. So now I can slide the stove underneath and then attach the collar. Right, now the fire can go back in. Just got a piece of paper on top just in case it scratches slightly. To my marks that I had before. That's it. Take that out. Take my tape off. And then I can screw the collar on from inside. So bolts, washers, nuts up there just by touch. Top about fiddly. Last bit of the job then is to pack this with fire rope. The fire rope I've got a bit thick to fit in there, even when I have pulled the middle out of it. So I'm just going to use the bit out the middle. So I'll just need to pack that in as tight as I can. And we can shape that. And then by putting all the bits back in, letting that harden off, it's all done. We got fire! So, a little bit about what you need to consider if you are putting timber panelling round to make a fake chimney breast. The fire opening needs to be non-combustible all the way around the fire, so the hearth, the sides, the back and the top all need to be non-combustible. Then any timber needs to be well away from direct radiation from the fire. So here we've got a little shelf sticking up that protects that direct radiation from the flue, and then the rest of the distance from there is okay. And at the sides that timber's let back a bit. Everything above that has to be the correct distance from the solid twin wall flue, and you can check the manufacturer's specs to see how close you can go, but give it as much room as you can. Then all that space behind there has to be vented. So at the bottom of this, going through that skirting, we've got a large vent, and that vents all the way up into that void, and right at the top there's the cornice, which is about 15mm off the ceiling, so there's plenty of room at the top for any heat to escape and not build up and cause any problems. And you need to be able to inspect all the joints in that solid twin wall flue. On this side we have all these side panels that can be easily taken off with just a couple of screws, so we can take them off and inspect all those joints. And there's a few other bits in this room that you might be interested in if you have a look on the channel. There's the cast iron column radiator that we salvaged and had to chop down to the right size. There's the Green Man inspired ceiling rose, and there's the running moulded cornice, and I might even have something on the double glazed sliding sash window. All the panelling was salvaged from a chapel up the street that was being demolished, that we'd had in storage for a hell of a long time, and the whole room turned out to be quite a project, but the dog loves it. Thanks for watching.